Is this thing on? What is happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic Saturday night. I know that I am because I am stoked. Got the track rental coming up tomorrow, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. So, to give you guys an idea for the density, altitude, and the weather conditions, looking at probably about 50% humidity, maybe a little bit more, but not by much. Density, altitude is going to be somewhere around negative. If you average the whole day out, about negative 1,000 for most of the day. So, absolutely excited. Cannot wait to get my car to do the track. And looking forward to meeting everybody that is going to be attending as well for this private track rental. So, basically the way it's going to work is like this. I'll get there about 8. Everybody should be showing up at least before 8:30 because we got a driver's meeting that I will be conducting at 8:30. And then right after that, I will be making the first pass down the drag strip. Let's see what we got here. Michael Smith said, just dropped $2,000 on a laptop for Cat. Hey, nice. Good job, man. What's up with you? I'm just getting ready for the track rental, man. Excited. Probably won't be able to sleep tonight like a little kid on Christmas. Go74 says, what's going on? What's happening, man? So basically, I want to talk about, I'm getting the car ready for the drag strip. What do I do about that? How do I get the car ready for the drag strip? Phoenix 98, what up, brothers? What's up, man? Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing anybody here. So the main thing that one of the things that I like to talk about when I'm getting my car ready. Smoking 05 says, howdy, Mason. What's up, man? Says, so you got a good drive shaft? Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. DSS drive shaft is now in the car, and so far, so good. Can't really have any complaints with it. So, let's see. Mike, by something, I'll just call you Mike. Mike, good evening to you too, brother. Thank you very much for joining us. Johnny Peters with the shades. I like it. Let's see, Go74 asks, so I have a burning question. Is Pennzoil bad? I use it all the time, and people say it ruins engines. Ain't nothing wrong with Pennzoil, man. Pennzoil is some good stuff. So is Mobil 1. Any of the name brand stuff is going to treat you just fine. Main thing, if you want to get an idea for what oil to run, ask the guys that are taking their cars to the drag strip often. They'll probably tell you Mobil 1 or Pennzoil. It's almost every one of the guys. And it's more out of habit than anything else. But typically, if you're going to run a good synthetic oil in your car, you're going to be doing just fine. And besides, if you're running it hard, you're going to be changing it more often anyway. So I think you'll be in good shape. Let's see what we got. Nate Bennett says, I've been watching for a minute. Nice. Just said, what's up? Just sub. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Welcome to the mob. So, getting back to it, getting the car ready for the track rental, I am basically going over the car, nut and bolting everything. If you run these cars hard, or anything hard for that matter, you got to maintain it, got to stay on top of things. The best way to do that, take a little time and go over everything. Suspension bits, make sure the wheel lugs are torqued. These are all things that can actually loosen up under high load conditions. Check the car for any leaks. Make sure there's nothing going on that could potentially be a problem and cause you a leak, like a bad hose, cracked reservoir. I've seen a lot of weird stuff over the years. So, it's not like I'm just pulling this stuff out of my ass. This is stuff that I've actually seen on either my car or other guys' cars. Basically, just give it a good once over. Make sure that there's plenty of oil in the crankcase, making sure that the car is fit for some very hard running on a prepared drag strip, which, if you're playing around on the street, that's one thing, but if you're really loading it up on a prep track, definitely need to be taking these steps. So, let's see, what do we got? Go74 says, I change it every 5,000 miles. It runs just fine. That's what I do. Symphonics, what's up? What's up, man? Gordy Scat 392. Hey, man, in here again. I like that. Thanks for coming by. So the main things also too, for you guys that are running, a drag pack on your car, a quick tip for you guys, especially you guys up north, make sure that you're not storing those tires in atmospheric conditions that get below about 32 degrees, especially if you're running a very soft compound tire. Those things have a tendency to crack when they get cold. They don't like cold weather at all. And as a matter of fact, it's not uncommon for guys to drag wheels and tires out of storage, and you see that they're flat, and you start to inspect them, and you start to see those little cracks. You start seeing those. It's time to get rid of those things. You need to store those in like a climate controlled storage or something along those lines. Just a couple of things that I've noticed getting my car ready, and working with other guys too, seeing issues that they've had. Dollar Power saying plug gap comparison between mileage to performance. Well, if you're asking about what I like to see them gapped at, I like to see plugs on supercharged applications no more than, I'd say, 27 thousandths. Prefer to see about 26 to 27. And on NA applications, it just kind of depends. Typically, those are around 45 to 50. Those will give you the best fuel mileage and the best performance overall. That's what I've noticed anyway with the stuff I've worked on. Let's see. Smokin'05, Racer X just shared a drag race prep video that was pretty good. Yes, he did. It was actually really good. And if you haven't seen it, guys, go check out Racer X's videos. He's got some really funny stuff. He's got some actually very informative stuff on there as well. And he just put together one that was real in depth and absolutely worth a watch. And even if you're seasoned in this, it's always good to watch these types of videos just as a refresher, to kind of keep some things a little bit fresh in the back of your mind, because you got other things going on. Your phone's ringing, you got friends calling you, you got honey-do lists that your wife's throwing at you. You might forget a few of these things as you're getting the car prepped. So it's always good to just go in there for a refresher, if nothing else. TU saying, AOB, what's up, man? What's up, TU? Care to throw a guess of the quarter mile for the 2020 GT500? Mine, you got yours in at 1065 at $128. Can't wait till Monday to see if Ford shows and proves. Okay, so here's my thoughts on that. On a tire, that thing should actually, man, I'd like to see it go at least at 1050 in good air. I mean, and the reason why I say 1050 in good air is because Hellcats have proven over the years on a tire to go 1060s. Some have gone as quick as 1050s. So, and that's a bone stock car with basically a drive shaft. My car has already gone 10.7 flat, and it's a bone stock car. So I'd like to see it do a little bit better than a stock Hellcat. If it can't manage that, that's going to suck, because here's the thing. The GT500 has to do at least better than the Roush 700 horsepower package. If it doesn't, it's, man, I hate to say it, but it could end up being almost the laughing stock. And I don't know if that's the right phrase to use, but well, you know where I'm coming from. I mean, if you get a guy with a Roush line up against a GT500 and he beats the GT500, that's a hell of a big notch in that guy's belt. Hondo saying, hey, Mason. Hey, Hondo, what's kicking, man? Let's see. Symphonic saying, 4 guys getting their panties all wet for Monday. It's okay. They can have their time for a year before GM drops the LT5 and the Camaro ZL1. Hey, I'll tell you something. Ford guys better be on the lookout, not for the ZL1, but for that new Corvette. I've been hearing some sick stuff about the new Vet, and I don't know where it's going to be priced. Well, either one of them, to be honest. But I can tell you this. The new Vet, if everything that I'm hearing is accurate, is going to absolutely overshadow the GT500 in every measurable metric you can come up with. So, Ford guys, look, I know it's a GT500. It's going to be an awesome car, and I'm on record as saying that is one of my all-time favorite cars ever have been GT500s. But, man, if that car cannot hang with one of the new Vets, or one of the Red Eyes, or a stock Hellcat for that matter on the drag strip, it's going to be a long, long day on Monday. Let's see. One and only SB340 saying, TU. Yep, he's in. Red Eyes ran 1049 and 1045. That's awesome. I mean, I'm glad to hear that they're marginally quicker than the Hellcat. They should, given the horsepower bump. But I'm telling you, that GT500, Symphonic saying GT500 would be lucky to break into the 11s. Man, look, the car is going to be fast. I am real excited about the release of that car. Again, you know, and look, a lot of us Mopar guys, let's be honest, a lot of us Mopar guys have come to Mopar from a Ford background, whether it was, you know, Fox bodies or 3 valves or Termi Cobras or whatever the case was. You know, when Mopar came back into the fold, that brought a lot of old Mopar fans out. And a lot of Mopar guys, well, they gravitated towards Fords for some reason. It's something I've noticed. So, yeah, I mean, as a recovering Ford guy, I can tell you that I'm excited. I can't wait. But, man, I'm just afraid that car is going to have, it's going to have a hard time living up to the hype, number one. And number two, it's the price point. You know, look at the GT350 with not a whole lot to separate it. And I know there's going to be a lot of people disagree with this, but to me, without a whole lot to separate it from a normal performance pack GT, meaning you can get the GT with an automatic, and I know the argument about the track and everything else, but look, long story short, that car is still selling at a premium. And when the GT500 comes out, number one, is that going to kick the GT350 to the curb? Do the values drop on the GT350 when the 500 is released? You start to wonder about where the car is going to be priced and how it's going to be positioned. And, well, if you look at a garden variety wide body red eye with a 309 and a couple of extra goodies, I mean, you're looking at a car that's creeping up on 90 grand. That's about where I would expect to see a GT500 fall. But what about the Vet? There's just so many different moving parts to this. You know, it's kind of hard to keep track. But either way, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that thing is a real winner. Let's see. Scat Pack B is saying, looking for something to do with my son on the Challenger Scat Pack. We have done an exhaust, Hellcat airbox, not like power, just something to do with him. What would be some good stuff to do? You know, you might look at a throttle body. Ported intake manifold would be a good project as well. You know, aside from that, it's going to be kind of hard to really recommend too much, getting away from a tune. But, you know, I'd say, you know, throttle body and a ported intake manifold would be a great one. Just the only headache you're going to have with that is going to be on the short runner valve, the actual plug for the short runner valve. To get that thing off is a real treat. But just take your time, you'll get it. And but I think that'd be a fun one for you. The Sloan saying California in the house. I like it, man. I miss California. Used to live in San Francisco, man. I miss my town. It's my adopted hometown. Mike by the Sun. What about summer street tires? He's asking. I've got a set of Nittos that I haven't changed off yet just because we've had a mild winter down here. I've heard mixed things from people about temperatures. The Nitto, the regular Tri-5s are good. I just wouldn't take the Tri-5R, the drag radials, out in temperatures less than about 30 degrees, 32 degrees. That's the compound is just not designed for those type of conditions. That said, I think they're safe down to 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So, but the compound in the tread pattern is just not that great if you're taking that thing out in the snow. One and only SB340 saying nice. Mine is 1080. I like it, man. That's a strong running car. Two saying right on. I like it. Let's see. Phoenix 98. I love this. Saying, did Racer X make it to H-Town? He was leaving late. He'll be getting here eventually. We'll see. Boy, I'll be late to his own funeral. Let's see. Gorgeous Scat392 asks, question, how much power do you think you can pick up from E85 on a 392 with just minor bolt-ons? You have to run a mixture, of course, but could you expect 25 wheel? No, you can't. The problem with E85 on the 392 it's got the compression. The cam is part of the problem. Not in a bad way. Actually, the stock cam profile would actually help you a little bit with E85 just because you have a higher dynamic compression with a stock cam than you would with an aftermarket cam. But here's the issue. The stock intake manifold on a 392 is not that great at supporting high RPM power, and there simply is not enough airflow to go along with the extra fuel that you need up top. Now, that being said, I wouldn't be outside of the range of what I've seen, at least, to pick up 20 pound-feet of torque down low, but don't expect a whole lot up top. And that actually holds true for most naturally aspirated engines. And the reason for that is the stock intake manifold on a 392 is really geared more for bottom end and mid-range torque. And then you've got just enough airflow capacity on the back end of the pull, so to speak, to cover you to about 61 to 6250 as far as RPM goes. If you're adding another 30% more in terms of actual fuel mass into the cylinder, the extra air that the engine needs to burn it is going to be displaced by the fuel. And that really doesn't become a problem until you need a lot more air. Well, that's why they kind of just run flat on the big end with the 85. It's just there's not enough air there, and nobody makes an intake manifold that'll make that work. Let's see. Oh, Stinkford Wet Bottom. I love it. Says, what's up, dude? What's up, man? Says, I am actually thinking of keeping the Scat Pack Charger stock. Reliable, fun as hell, and fun to drive. Nice warranty. Yeah. That warranty's worth a whole lot, as a matter of fact. Plenty of guys wait till their warranty's out and then start tearing into their cars. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Johnny Peters is asking, I have a 2017 Scat, only drive about 2,000 miles a year and would like better traction. Would the Tri-5R be a good street tire for you? It will be a fantastic street tire for you. As a matter of fact, that is the tire I would recommend for a couple of reasons. One, man, they just kind of seem to last a fairly long time, given the tread wear rating and how well the cars hook up with those tires on them. It's not going to dead hook on the street with them, but it'll be a whole lot more fun to drive. I will tell you that. Definitely does change the complexion of how that car drives. And number two, they're actually pretty good in wet weather, provided you're not down to the wear bars on them. But I run around on Tri-5s everywhere I go. A lot of the guys I know, that is their street tire of choice, and they love them. So I say, yeah, go for it. That'd be the tire I would go with. Let's see. Want to know, like SB340 saying, it is. These Ford guys have been waiting for the GT500 for a few years on and off. Yeah, that's... Gotta. And the only bad part about the GT500 is you're not seeing the hype behind it. There's no hype train behind it. I think that we all got a little bit spoiled with the Demon, just with how hard that car was hyped. All the Easter eggs in the the 30-second or 1 minute videos that they were shooting over had us all talking about it, had us all guessing. Great marketing plan. The problem with the GT500 is you get a couple of leaked photos, and I say leaked in the most general and loose interpretation, but you're not getting the sense that they're excited about it. In fact, real talk on this. Here's what I think, man. I think Ford their hand is being forced. They have been talking about getting this GT500 to market now for a while. I know they had problems with it in development. Not just early on, but quite a ways into the actual development of that platform. And honestly, I think they're just kind of pushing this thing out. I'm sure it's got plenty of tech, but they already had plenty of tech with other platforms. Powertrain, long-term durability, use, abuse, misuse, that whole deal. All that testing has to be complete. All the crash testing and everything that had to get done to that car, except for any real track testing. You have got to understand that they know what that car runs in the quarter mile. They know how fast it gets around a racetrack, a Nürburgring, or whatever. They already know that, and they're not hyping it. So it tells me one of several things. One, they're not that proud of it. Number two, if the argument is, well, they don't want to show their hand, or they don't want to do something that would be about that value, that's stupid. It's the first GT500 in how many years? Listen, if I were over at Ford, I would be parading this thing around. I'd be parading this thing around like you wouldn't believe. So, yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why it ship, but at least in terms of pony cars. But then again, they got the Ford GT, so I don't know. Maybe they're just a little bit jaded over there. Spoiled brats. Tim Fast Car saying, what up, B Mason? What up, Tim? Says the venom killing demon thing ain't going to happen. No, it's not. In fact, take that a step farther. It might not even be close. Cleaver Enterprise saying, Inglewood in the house. I like it. What up, B? Me and the baby watching Mopar. California loud exhaust 1K traffic ticket. Man, what is that? I don't even get it. So I have seen it, and it's one of these subjective laws. For you guys that don't know what it is, it's a subjective law that basically goes like this: if there's a loud exhaust, and it's I forget the exact wording of it, but anyway, it's one of these nonsensical at the officer's discretion. Basically what it is if he pulls you over for something and he feels like loading up a tally on a quota, it's just another way to add dollars to the coffers of whatever jurisdiction he's in. I think it is absolute bullshit. And not only, by the way, my understanding is not only does it affect cars, it also affects motorcycles. So, man, I don't know what is going on with that, but I have seen it, and I think it is an absolute joke because my understanding of it is there's no definitive number. Like, how many decibels is it before you get the ticket? I mean, you can't just say, oh, well, that car. But it is, the other side of it, too, was if they have to prove that there's damage to the exhaust, that the exhaust has been altered in a way that would make it obnoxious or something. Anyway, they use some really subjective wording with that, and how that passed is beyond me. And if you're voting in the state of California, you need to find out who got that passed and get that cat 86. Let's see. Frankenstein Hemi asking, same question as Gorgeous 392. How much wheel horsepower do you think I'll pick up from 91 to E85 on my 426 11-to-1 compression? Well, it's tough to say, but first of all, let's verify that it is a true 11-to-1 compression engine. A lot of those 11-to-1 engines are actually floating around more like 10.5-to-1. But at any rate, you know, that's more check your head gasket thickness on that. You want to be at a minimum of an 040. I think most guys are actually switching to 036s, and that's not enough to be an issue for piston and valve clearance with whatever cam you're running. I wouldn't think anyway. Not with any cam I would put together for those cars. But getting back to it, again, it's one of these situations where, you know, it depends on what intake manifold you're running. It depends on the quality of the E85 that you've got. You're coming from 91, so you're already going to see a little bit more of a bump. But, you know, you'd be good, honestly, on the big end to see 10 horsepower. And I wouldn't ever promise any more than that. And that's on a Mustang dyno, by the way. I wouldn't promise any more than that. You'll see torque. You'll see a mid-range bump. But, man, honestly, these cars, they don't really take to E85 the way that you would think. Now, that being said, on the drag strip, you might see a significant improvement just based on, you know, your 60-foot time and your 330-foot time being a little bit better. But I wouldn't feel right if I gave any numbers any more than that, because I think that'd be setting you up for, you know, for an expectation that just isn't going to be there. Let's see. Nate Bennett saying, I currently have a Kenny Bell 2014 5.0 plus other supporting mods. Very nice. Been eyeballing a 392 wide body. I want to do it with well, a couple of things. One, get you a sticky tire, because even with the wide body, those things are still going to light the tires up. But secondly, if you're going to go nitrous on a 390, you've got to go with a progressive controller. You're going to have it tuned, and you're going to want to really not go above, you know, 75 is a safe limit, but I still wouldn't go above 100. And mainly, that's not really for the engine's sake, although it is partially. It's really more for the transmission. That initial hard torque hit is going to be tough. That's why you almost have to have a progressive system. The car weighs a lot, and the engine makes a lot of power. You hit that thing with nitrous, and you're going to be exceeding the torque limits of that HP70, at least what it can hold on to long term. So, you know, throw a progressive controller at it. just to where if you're coming out of the hole and you are drag racing, give it about 2.5 seconds to go to full spray, and then you should be in good shape. Gorgeous Scat 392 said, just put a pulley tune on the Hellcat and the GT500 stands no chance. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, if it's an older GT500, they're all manual transmissions. And look, guys, the modern automatics far and away outperform a manual transmission. It's just the way that it is, between the extra gear ratios with more torque multiplication, faster shifts, more solid shifting. It's not even close. I mean, guys, dude, my 392 used to, if I had a GT500 lineup next to me, I had absolutely no worries about that car being ahead of me at the end of the quarter mile if it were even mildly upgraded. Now, that being said, those cars with, a solid tune and the right pulley ratio, exhaust the whole bit on a sticky tire with a good driver, yeah, he put me in the weeds. But the reality is that that's a perfect storm for those cars, and that's rarely the case. And I'll say something else too. that scenario right there, not even talking about the Challenger, those cars when they first came out were known to not be very good on the drag strip, just based on the fact they don't transfer weight very well. Let's see. Symphonic saying GT500 needs a DCT to set it apart. Man, I'll tell you what. I mean, I don't even know if that would do it. I mean, and at what point? I mean, you start getting up and up and up and up into price points. You're going to have guys just look at it and shake their head and walk away. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. I'm losing it here. Okay. Vince saying, Venom kills demons. What a cool car to set the bar way too high for. Yeah, well, that's actually pretty funny. Anyway, he goes on to say the corporate dudes better not run their mouths faster than their cars. Man, I got to tell you, that guy, I forget the guy's name, but he got shut up pretty quickly. I don't know if you guys had heard, but apparently that guy got into some pretty deep water because he was basically writing a check that GT500 wasn't going to be able to cash. SRT Crazy saying, recovering Ford guy. I love that. It's a good line. Thanks, man. It is true. I mean, you never really get over it. You just keep recovering. Says, thank God Mopar made a comeback. Indeed. Let's see. Symphonic's asking, do I know anything about a company called Speed Engineers? I've seen some good reviews on their header system. I don't. When it comes to headers, I like to stick with Cooks because I know they work. And not only do they work in terms of making power, but the fitment is typically spot on. Al's Dream is asking, how much horsepower does a Hellcat airbox add on a tuned scat pack with a K&N filter? Well, get rid of the K&N filter and run the Hellcat air filter. It actually flows a considerable amount more than that K&N. And typically on the drag strip, I don't really know about power, but I can tell you that about 1/10 and about 1 mile an hour is what I'll typically see going from one to the next. Oh, yes, a little bit longer. He goes, does it get any better when it's over 100 miles an hour? Not really. It might help on some level on the big end of the track with the eyelet feeding the airbox cold air. But I mean, realistically, I wouldn't worry too much about picking up more than about 1/10 or 1 mile an hour, because the stock system, even on a SCAT or an SRT, is really not that bad. You factor that in with the brake duct mod, and I think you pick up at least 1/10 and 1 mile an hour. Typically, that's what I picked up with mine. So let's see. Gordy Scat 392 is saying, okay, thanks a lot. No problem. Hope I helped. He's saying he just found E85 up here and have heard mixed things. Thanks for the info. I'll stick with my non-ethanol 91. That's the way to go, and keep it that way. And I mean, to be honest with you, if you're not taking the car to the drag strip, you're not going to really see a huge difference there. So, Nate Bennett, current Ford guys here, rings true. My first car was a 70 Charger with a built 383. Let's see, Ford crossover to Mopar is so damn true. Yep. A lot of us do, man. What's funny is that you don't. Here's the weird thing about Mopar. So it's almost like Mopar and Ford are like these, like a couple of buddies that just kind of jeer each other. And then Chevrolet is just kind of that weird kid off in the corner, except for Corvettes. But because I'm also a recovering Corvette guy, but the issue is that, you know, with Chevrolet always trying to be more more Mustang than Mustang with their pony car offerings, and not offering anything that would compete with the Mopar offerings. It's always kind of been a little bit weird for me there, because you always got the sense that, you know, you get a completely different driving experience. You could have a Mustang GT and a 392 Scat Pack sitting in your garage and have just as much fun with the Mustang as you do with the 392 in completely different ways. The problem that I always had with the Camaro, with the 6th gen, not really with the 5th gen. The 5th gen, in my opinion, is immune from this criticism. But the 6th gen was this car that it tried to give you the best of both, but you didn't get as much of either one. So you're kind of left lacking. You know, you didn't get the high winding sophistication of the smaller 5.0, and you didn't get the grunt that the 392 gives you, and you don't get the presence of the 392 cars either. You know, the bigger feel, the bigger, you know, just Luxo barge that happens to be capable of running deep into the 12s or even high 11s stock on a tire. So anyway, yeah, I know what you mean by that. A lot of us Ford guys made the switch back over to Mopar once they got their head in the game. Let's see. One and only SB340. B. Mason, how many guys do you have running with you tomorrow? Should be a blast. Looking at about 30 cars that are going to be making the trip tomorrow. Toby Rom is saying, hey, Brian. What's up, Toby Rom? Phoenix 98 saying, get him up. Yeah, give me some thumbs up, if you don't mind, if I can't trouble you for it. Let's see. Wonderful Life saying, hi, guys. How's everybody doing? I hope things are going really well for you. Thanks for checking in. Symphonic saying, what can I elaborate on what I've been hearing about the C8? So here's the thing. This is what I've heard. You're going to have potentially 2 to 3 engine options. One will be more or less a base grade Corvette, like a Stingray variant of the Corvette. The second would be a the 6.2 liter. The second would be a dual overhead cam variant of the LS platform, making about 550 to 570 horsepower is my understanding, but that number is subject to change. And the last would be basically a Z06 type version with about 675 horsepower. Mid-engine and about the same weight as the car is now. So you're looking at having this spread of cars that would basically fill every void you could ever want for a sports car, and at the same time come in at various price points, which would allow the individual Corvette enthusiast to make his or her choice as to what performance levels met their needs. If they wanted something they could take to a road course and just beat mercilessly, they might get a base model Vette. If they want to step that up a little bit, got a faster variant, and then you get into the Z06 type version of it on the high end. That's what I've heard, but you know, aside from, you know, the rumor mill churning, that could go in a couple of different directions, one of which would be only the pushrod variants to kick them off, with the 4-valve coming later as the engine to take over for the pushrods, and then or the pushrod variant maintaining the status quo with the supercharged, the force induction application, and the 4-valve taking the place for any other engine in that platform. So either way you look at it, the thing is going to be amazing. And it reminds me, God, it's been, I remember seeing a comparison from back in the 60s between, and I think it was a 67 or 68, I can't remember if it was, anyway, no, it was 67 Corvette versus the 67 GT500. And apparently at that time they were about the same price. And the Vette just absolutely, I mean, close how badly that vet would tear that Mustang apart in terms of just every, again, measurable metric you can come up with. I think that's going to be the same, same or second verse, third verse, same as the first on this, where you're going to have a real expensive Mustang that can't even hold a candle to the Corvette that just kind of shows up to the party. And then you get into the Mopars, and we're all just hanging back watching this, just giggling, because, I mean, we don't have a girl working that corner. We specialize in muscle cars and fun hot rods and, drag racing and tire smoking and, just having fun. These guys will be going at it for reals, and I think it's going to not go as well as Ford had hoped. Wonderful Live saying, greetings, Sydney. Greetings. Let's see, Scat 426. What up, B Mason? What up? All the thumbs up. Thank you very much. Let's see. Mike is saying, are you using your Hellcat as daily to any degree? Any impressions? If not, what's your overall thoughts on the Hellcat versus the 392? Man, how much time you got? So, no, I'm not using the Hellcat as a daily. In fact, I'm doing good to take the thing out about once a month, the way that it sits lately. As far as using them as a daily, believe it or not, there's a lot of guys that daily Hellcats, and they do great and don't have any problems with them. Oddly enough, on the freeway, they actually knock down pretty decent fuel economy numbers. I'm typically around 25 miles an hour at least. It always knocks down decent fuel economy numbers. As far as what are my thoughts on one versus another, man, I don't really like comparing the two because there's certain areas where they are so similar. My 392, just in terms of driving the car around, was not that dissimilar from me driving a stock Hellcat until you get it into about half throttle or maybe a little bit more than half throttle. That's when that Hellcat really starts to show its power over the 392. If I could draw a more interesting comparison, if you put the Hellcat in 500 horse mode, it runs about the same as what you would want, or you would think that the street version of a 426 would run naturally aspirated. So then you put it in 700 horsepower mode, and you just get more power on top of that, more or less on the big end. So I don't know. I really like my 392, my SRT 392, and it's really difficult for me to compare them because there's pros and cons to both. The 392, the power of the 392 is a lot more usable on the street as a daily driver. You can actually take that car out and play with it, and you really can't do that as much with the Hellcat, where the 392 will hook up and just go. The Hellcat will light the tires up, which is fun, but it's not that fun if you really want the car to be moving in a certain direction. So driving the Hellcat, you have to be a little bit more, what's the word I need to use? A little bit more, you drive that thing like there's eggshells on the throttle until you really get used to where that car is going to hook and where it's not going to hook. Whereas the 392, if you're running them both around on Tri-5s, 392 is going to hook up. So the usable power of the 392 is a big advantage for it. But if outright power is what you're looking for, the Hellcat will win that argument each and every time. So again, it just depends on what you're doing with the car and what your long-term desires are. I mean, if you want to have a car that you can build up and make fast and faster over time, you need to get a Hellcat. If you want a car that's going to be a really fun, very dependable, and a car that will always be fun to drive, no matter what you're doing with it, then the 392 is a good package for you. Let's see. Wonderful Live checking in, saying hi to everybody. What's up, man? Thank you. 2 a.m. baby. I love it. What do you think about a 392 crate engine on a Dodge Neon? Hey, man, if you can make it fit, go for it. There's a lot easier ways to make a Neon fast. Just SRT4 that thing. Go out there and run some nines. Vince is coming in. Guilty till proven innocent. Exhaust law. Yeah. California at its finest. I live here and it's ridiculous. Man, isn't that some shit? I mean, how are you going to. I mean, that is. And here's the other thing, man. Here, what I don't like about that law is number one, well, let me stop right there. From a practical standpoint, it's an officer's discretion whether he or she pulls you over. I think what they're going to do is they're going to use it just as an add-on, like they pull you over for speeding, and then if they decide to be a jerk, they can get you on that. But oh well, I don't know. I hate that kind of stuff. Let's see. Gorgeous Scat 392 saying, yeah, I just meant the new GT500. Right on. Let's see. Toby Ram is saying Ford never really hyped their leader muscle car, at least in recent times. I mean, even when they released the 13 GT500, we didn't see much hype for it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the sad thing about it, is that it's hard to get excited about those cars. And look, here's the other thing too. The general public, the casual fan of these cars, they're not keeping up with this stuff. They're not looking at magazine articles. They're not checking into forums. They're not doing anything. I mean, they just, when the news comes out, when the car comes out, they'll look at it and have an opinion of it then. But, to be honest with you, man, these are cars that deserve hype. These are cars that deserve pomp and circumstance. I mean, look at it like this. Yeah, there's not that many of them out there. I mean, there is only the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Challenger and Charger. So without, a lot of hype behind it, how's anybody even going to know that there's a car out there that they need to be excited about? To them, it's just another Mustang with some wheels and tires and a fin, body kit. I mean, they're not going to know what they're looking at. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on the way that whole thing played out. Uncle Stinkford saying, agreed on the autos. 8-speed in our cars is wonderful. It is real tough to beat. It is real tough to beat. Boosted Scat Pack saying, doing the Turbo 400 swap now, so long to the third pedal. I can understand that completely. Your car screams, though, man. That Turbo 400 swap, though, is going to open you up to a whole new level of durability, though, for sure. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Cleaver Enterprise saying, this is back to that California law, saying 95 decibels, grade A bullshit. For California drivers, use eco mode when you see cops. Bought a set of Tri-5Rs. Is it better to use a street tire in front and save the rubber for the drive wheels, or do the whole setup? No. Only use that rubber, the Tri-5Rs on the rears. Just use regular Tri-5s up in front. Yeah, you don't want to be using the drag radials for your front tires. It's just more, it's not just going to hurt anything, but it's just more rolling resistance, and your fuel economy may suffer because of it. SRT Crazy going, saying, LOL, muscle cars will be banned altogether in California. Give the loons more time. Yeah, no kidding. Which is funny, because when I lived there are so many people that drove old Mustangs and old Camaros and old Darts and actually older muscle cars. So yeah, that's nuts. I can't believe they're making that law even a thing. The Sloan checking in saying my first two cars were a 71 440 CUDA and a 68 340 Barracuda. Then 3 Mustangs. Now Scat Pack Challenger. Back where I belong. Yes, sir. I agree. I've been through a few Mustangs myself. Glad to be back as well. Let's see. Gorgeous Scat 392 saying, I've seen a lot of 2012 GT500s with the 550 horse stock lose to the 392s with exhaust, intake, and a tune. But the 392 has the 8-speed also. And the GT500 is a manual. Still impressive. Yeah, I mean, it is still impressive that they're beating the GT500. But, I mean, it's not really even a fair race. But I will say this, it doesn't even take that much to beat a GT500 with a stock 392 car. Just throw a drag radial on it. Problem solved. Let's see. Stephen Russo Saying, as a lawman, that California exhaust is some bullshit. Going with a bigger cam, fast man throttle body. Good throttle body, by the way. You're going to like it. And long tube headers. Is a 6.1 intake manifold or a ported 6.4 a better option? Staying naturally aspirin for now. 392 A8. I would absolutely steer you away from the Edelbrock intake at this point. Go with a ported stock polymer intake and you will be good. I would also add a second step. Send your intake over to Peak Speed and just wait for them to port your intake manifold. You don't want to get somebody's older intake. You want to make sure you get your intake back. That would be my suggestion anyway. I didn't have any problems with my car, but there's one car in particular that had all kinds of problems with intake manifolds and short runner actuator range values, things pissing off their ECU. So anyway, long story short, go with your stock intake manifold. It will make more power on average across the board than that Edelbrock. You may see a bump over the stock intake in a couple of areas with the Edelbrock, but it's just not worth it. It weighs more and it heat soaks like you wouldn't believe. So that being said, plus it's a lot less expensive. Stick with the stock stuff, brother. It is tough, real tough to beat the stock stuff right now. And until somebody else comes out with a manifold that can best what the stock manifold can do, especially again, you have to remember the weight of our vehicles. That's going to be the best bet for you right now. A little bit of loving, a little bit of massaging. She'll work great for you. Racer X saying, oh, buddy, Rob and I are sitting here looking over the weather for tomorrow. Oh, it's looking good. Yes, it is looking good, and I cannot wait to get out there. Absolutely. Amber, you guys got to check out Racer X's video with his wife, Amber. They're out there harassing folks in a Mustang that they're looking at. But, yeah, she's saying she's thinking her next test drive has to be a Corvette. Yeah, it needs to be that Corvette. Actually, my first test drive, the next car that I do test drive will be a C8. There's really nothing else out there that interests me at all. And not that I would trade my Hellcat for one, but that's the only car that actually kind of gets my blood boiling. Is that new C8? Let's see. Phoenix 98 saying, Racer Egg all made it. The air is nice. It's going to be awesome. Patrick Stevens checking in. Hi, B. Hey, Patrick. How you doing, buddy? Let's see. Leonard Rice is saying he's got 2 paid-off stock 2016 Hellcats. What mods? Well, keep one of them stock. And what I would do with the other one, man, it just depends on what you want to do, brother. That's a question you got to ask yourself. And you're oddly limited to what you can do to a Hellcat. Not in terms of how much power you can make, but just in terms of the fact that, well, I'll put it to you like this. So are you planning on keeping it on gasoline, pump gasoline, or are you planning on possibly going to E85? If you're planning on going to E85, then that's going to require a fuel system. It's going to require a bigger set of injectors, obviously upper pulley, lower pulley, and a tune and cat delete pipe, which I would highly recommend. And, that combination with a sticky tire is a known 9-second combination. But you're not going to get anywhere near that if you decide you want to stick with gasoline. I mean, you can put a 295 upper on the thing and with a solid tune, basically pick up a little bit of power. Think of the 295 upper as, buyer beware on that. If it's me, leave one of them bone stock, and the other one, man, I say go nuts with it. We're talking E85, injectors, fuel pumps, diff brace, drive shaft, everything under the sun. Just throw the kitchen sink at it. And, you'll have a car that will be a solid 9-second car that is still very reliable. Now, would I recommend going Whipple or Kenny Bell or anything like that? I don't know, man. I got to tell you, it's tough for me to say that would be a good way to go, only because these other cars are running deep into the 9s with a stock supercharger on their Hellcats. So Anyway, hope that answers the question and didn't sufficiently confuse you. Nate Bennett saying, damn, you speak to me. Even though I know my current Mustang will outrun a 392, I just want that wide body 392 because it makes me happy. I'll tell you what, it's just such a different driving experience. You know, I like them both. That's my problem. I mean, if you're asking me which one do I like better, both. There's not an answer to that. I mean, I can't, gun to your head, which one do you pick? Okay, Mopar, because, torque is, it's the thing that makes you feel good. But I mean, dude, it's like half and half for me, man. I love them both. Hey, one and only SB340. Thank you very much. I love it saying, have one on me, Diet Cokes. Absolutely. Yes, the beverage of choice around this household is Diet Coke. Thank you so very much for the contribution to the cause. I truly do appreciate that. And so thank you very much. And I'll get a 6-pack of Diet Cokes with that. I appreciate that. Thank you again very much. Really do appreciate that. Let's see. Amber Moody, 85078, made it just in time to watch my boys lose. That's awesome. One and only say hollering out to my boy Racer X. I like it. W. Rama saying, it's funny how cops wouldn't bat an eye at Harleys with exhaust so loud they shake your walls, but give fines to car guys with exhausts that aren't even close. Harleys equal bald eagles, I guess. Yeah, I guess. When you're watching that accountant go down the road and his freaking, never mind, don't get me started on that. Scat426 asking, what do you think about the Hellcat in a Cuda? Guessing that you're asking about the new Hellcat in an old Cuda. I think it would be depends on what you want to do with the car. If you just want something to go out, shred tires, go down the quarter mile, I think the Hellcat would be a lot of fun in that respect. I mean, obviously it's going to be king of the hill, right? But from a balanced vehicle standpoint, it's hard to, and keep in mind that Hellcat is not going to have traction control. It's not going to have any stability controls. And if you've ever driven a car that only weighs 3,500 pounds with over 1,000 horsepower, you will remember quickly that things go wrong quickly at speeds that are typically safe in other cars. And what I mean by that is, I go back to thinking about my old 94 Cobra, which had a 427 and a T-trim. Well, that car at 65 miles an hour would absolutely light the tires up on a 4.3 downshift. It would spin through fourth gear on a set of normal, tri-5s. Things get scary when you have that kind of power with, even as good as our tire technology is now, when that combination is put together, you just have to make sure you're pointing in the right direction. I think a 392 would be a more balanced car and would allow you to have a lot more fun with the car, with the understanding that you've got to, especially if you did 392 with an 8-speed auto, you would have a car that would go, that'd be a 10-second car, and which is plenty fast if just based on the power to weight ratio alone. So 2 a.m. baby saying, ooh, Harleys. Nate Bennett in with a 10 spot. Thank you very much for the $10. I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much. It means a ton to me. So thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, let me scoot over here. Sorry, a little technical difficulty here. Poser 2 asking, would it be worth it to pump Sunoco 96, 98, or 100 octane fuel versus 91 octane to prevent NOx sensors from retarding timing on stock tune with pulleys? Yeah, actually it does. So it's kind of funny how these modern cars work. Sorry, I'm scooting around so much. I'm just got back from the gym not long ago, and my Guido tuxedo keeps freaking having me slide around in this leather chair. Hang on a second. So yeah, it actually does. Believe it or not, the Hellcats and to some other extent, the 392s have got they go into false NOx so easily, and a splash of race gas will actually help you in a couple of things, but I don't fill it up full of race gas. But if you got 5 gallons of fuel in your car, throwing a couple of gallons of race gas in the thing will help, mainly to keep you out of any perceived false knock on the big end. If there is a little bit of knock, it'll help quell that so it won't trigger the knock sensors. These cars are actually, in some respects, a little bit on that razor's edge when you start getting into the cold spark tables of the tune, even stock. And so they're kind of riding the, it's hard to explain if I don't have the graph in front of me. Anyway, they're almost riding the knock sensors to get the knock just right, to keep it just at the verge of that knock. The problem with that is, depending on fuel quality, you can run into that knock a little bit sooner than you normally would. A little bit of race gas will help with that. Now, that's a real long way to get to that answer. I'm sorry about that. But y'all know me. I sit here and talk about, I'll go all the way around the question before I get to it. Let's see. Ghost74 is saying, or asking, I'm taking a road trip soon in his Challenger SXT. Do you have any tips for me to have a safe trip for yourself in the car? Absolutely, I do. If you're going on a long road trip, treat that the same as if you're taking that car to the drag strip. And you're going to want to make sure that all the fluids are fresh and topped off. Make sure your tires are in good shape. Make sure that the car is not leaking anywhere. Give the car a solid once over. Give it an oil change while you're at it. Other things to consider, just make sure you got your tools in the back of the car. If you're going to be running through nighttime or running through the night, make sure you got your reflectors. A couple of flares will come in handy. Just the basics. It's this time of year. Make sure you have a blanket. Make sure you've got some snacks, foods, drinks, things like that. Even with the best planned trip, you can, the weird stuff can still happen. Make sure you've got provisions to get you through the night or to get you where you need to be. So, the main thing though is, basically give the car a solid once over, change your air filter. You want to get the best fuel economy that you can. Change your air filter again, change that oil. And depending on how many miles are on the car, might be a good idea to take a look at the coolant system, make sure everything is there in place and no issues with hoses, things like that, potential leaks, things that can leave you stranded. And aside from that, you should be good. Easy Rider saying, fantasy shopping, found a drag pack supercharged 354 for around the price of a Demon. Which one would you choose? Oh, man. The only thing that kills me about the drag pack is that it's not registered, but there's a way to do it. I'd have to go with the 354. The reason for it is, it's a drag pack. Far more rare than the Demon. And dude, it's a drag pack. You go with the drag pack every time. Phoenix 98 saying cowboy. Yeah. Uncle Steve from Wet Bottom saying, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, hey, Sinji, you made a valid point, but Harleys are made in Thailand these days. Yeah, they are. It's awful. Patrick Stevens says, California has roadside pullover checkpoints. Yes, they do. It is legal there. Let's see. I don't know what Shuri, I can't even pronounce that, is asking. I don't know what Pootie Pie is or a T-Series, man. Let's see. Symphonics. I don't live in Cali, but if I did, I'd be glad I got the mild to wild switch on my active exhaust. Exactly. Blast by him and then flip the switch. See, Jason Willis saying, I took your advice and drove the 45 horse Challenger SRT and loved it, especially the A8. The manual's nice too, and the car has a lot of power. It wasn't much different than driving the Kitty, honestly. Yeah, I know. And here's the thing, especially if you're coming from a manual Hellcat. If you're coming from a manual Hellcat and you drive an A8 392 car, you're going to be surprised. And again, it's not anything that you wouldn't expect. It's just that they're so similar up to a certain point. And again, the 392s are a lot of fun because you can use all of that power. And believe me, guys, look, both of them will get you from 0 to arrested plenty quick. So, you're talking about both cars being capable of 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds if the 392 is tuned on a tire. You've got both cars that are capable of getting to the 8th mile in 7 seconds also, at well over the speed limit. They're both very fast and they're both very fun to drive. It just depends on which way you want to go. If you want a car you can have all the fun with all the time, then the 392 really does need to be the car you look at first. Gorgeous Scat 392 saying, I watched your video recently of the 392 running 11.6. Great time. Thank you very much. The fastest that car ever went was an 11.39, and that was exactly a year ago tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Ghost 74 is asking, what kind of headers are on my coffee table? Oh, you mean my remote control holders? Well, I will show you. These are the headers, the stock headers off of an ACR Viper, which if you look, hang on, right there, that's my old 99 ACR Viper, right on the pass when I broke the stock displacement record for the Vipers that went at 1054 at 133 miles an hour. Anyway, let me get back to it. So the ACR had tubular headers, and this is how crappy the tubular headers were. I don't know if you guys can make sense of this collector or those pipes, but this is really shitty. Anyway, there you go. That's an ACR header, guys. That's what I use to hold the remote, actually. The coasters are rod caps, and the pistons are all stock or pistons and rods out of blown up Hellcats. Cleaver Enterprise, $2. Thank you very much. $5 Diet Coke on me. I love it, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Really do appreciate it. Thank you again. Here's the rest. Thank you, brother. I do appreciate that very much. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. Jay Puma checking in. Thank you, sir. Good seeing you, my good friend. Let's see. Electro Pent saying, you look so creepy. Are you made of wax? It feels like you'd melt if I lit my bald what? Come on, you got to finish that up. Don't bitch up on a comment when you're trying to scald me, man. I want to see what kind of skills you got on that. Leonard Rice saying, thanks for the advice. We'll leave one bone stock. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely do that. Cranman saying, I could never go Ford. If there was no Mopar, I would have to go Chevy. Oh, the world would be so boring without Mopar. Listen, not only would the world be boring without Mopar. Okay, so the Mopar is just in the way that the car feels to drive, the way that it delivers the power. To me, it is the most, the quintessential, stereotypical American muscle car feel, and that value, that really comes from Mopar. And without it, you get a lot of folks want to compare the Mustang to a BMW, or they want to compare the Camaro to, I don't know, what do you compare it to? Anyway, I don't want that. I want an American car built for Americans. And people go, well, it's the engines are made in Mexico and the car is made in Canada. Well, guess what? Still North America. We're all still in this together, and we all love the hot rods. So as far as I'm concerned, it's all of us coming together to build something that is fun, fast, big, brash, and God, that's just Mopar in just a few words. Jason Willis, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. He says, keep up the good work, bro, and wish me luck on getting the B5 Blue SRT Challenger. Man, good luck getting that. I'd love to hear your successes with that. B5 Blue is one of my favorite colors on these cars, and every one of them that I've ever seen always look good. So I can't wait to hear your, or hear about your travels and your journey with that car. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Let's see, Cranman saying, Jason, don't waste the money on the SRT Challenger. Just stick with the Scat Pack and save yourself some money unless you're talking about the SRT Hellcat. Actually, I'll tell you something. I liked my SRT, and if it's from a straight performance, one versus another, there's not a big difference between the two. I mean, my Scat Pack ran, or wow, I'm really getting tired. My SRT ran an 1139 at 118.5, and the quickest motor only, or actually unopened 392 car for a while, and it may still be, was SRT Jimmy's Challenger, and that car went 1125 at 118 miles an hour. So there's not a big performance difference. Where the SRT shines is the ability to switch back and forth in the suspension modes, and obviously the track apps as well. And I get that you can get a taser and it'll do some of that, but it doesn't get you the adjustable suspension. And that's actually part of the car that I used a lot. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I would, but I would switch from street mode to sport mode to track mode. And there are those modes are extremely different from each other. And you can control the steering the same way as you can the suspension. So for me, I really could have a different car just at the touch of a button. If I wanted something that was a bit more laid back, wanted a comfy ride, going on a long trip, put the thing in street mode and it just would float down the highway. If I was carving up some back roads, throw the thing in track mode in the suspension, and you get a very stiff ride. And that to me was worth the extra money for the SRT, is because I felt like, and I know it's kind of I'm not really a gimmicky thing, but to me it made sense, and it really did work out, where I could have a different car just at a touch of a button. I had 3 different cars and a custom mode. So I could put together a custom mode that worked great. And I guess because I actually used all 3 modes, it was really worth it to me. So anyway, for whatever it's worth, they're all great cars. I just think that it's I like the SRT for what it is. Let's see. Quick break. My brother saying, what up, buddy? See you bright and early. Should be an awesome day. Heck yeah, it will be. I'm looking forward to it, my brother, and I will be there very early, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Toby Rama asking, Elephant and a Ram 2500. That would be very balanced. Yeah. Yeah, it would. And it would be a very fast truck, too. Gorgeous Cat 392 saying, you need to come to Washington State. We'll have a drink and talk cars. I don't want to go to Cali. Probably get my car impounded down there with all those laws. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not in Cali. I mean, I say that I'm not glad in Cali. I'm not, perform. I'm saying I'm glad I'm not back in California based on the laws. I do miss California a lot, but loving being back in Texas. But yeah, I know what you mean, man. It's crazy. Some of those laws are just asinine. Don't make any sense to me whatsoever. Let's see. Mike Benedito saying, I hit someone from behind with my 7-day-old 2017 2500. Damn. I didn't know I had to use exhaust boost. What? Oh, and 1500 before. I don't know what that means, but I might be misreading that. Let's see. Jay's asking, hey, Brian, did I miss your thoughts on the demonology race with drag times? I didn't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it. It's a situation where, you've got a car that is purpose built for drag racing, but still kind of limited in scope for the fact that it weighs so much, up against a car that is very fast and, driven by somebody who knows how to drive the thing. It's surprising that that 720 could go as quick as it did, but the reality is that, God, it's tough because you look at it from a price point of view, and heck, you could have a demon for yourself and a demon for 3 of your buddies for what that car cost. But if you're looking at just who won the race, well, it didn't go the way of the demon. So at least on that day, that car was faster. And I don't really have too many thoughts on it, but I think it could have been a little bit closer race if I don't know that the suspension was actually working on that Demon, and it does make a difference on that car because you've got to get the weight transferred on those things if you're going to try to get them out of the hole that hard. Let's see. Sam the Hedgehog saying, your boy Furry is here. What up? Mike Benedito, a couple of pre-roll joints. Cali kind is the kindest kind. Let's see. Mike Benedito saying 6'7" Cummins. I cried. Mike Benedito saying, and Sam the Hedgehog is saying, okay, bye. Let's see. Go74 saying, thank you for the tips. I'm going to buy an emergency kit just to be on the safe side now. Yeah, absolutely. You should. Anytime you're taking a long road trip, you just never know what's going to happen. And just because you never know, doesn't mean it ain't going to happen too. So definitely, yeah, be on the safe side depending on how far out you're going. Mike Benedito saying bye to Sam. Nacho Lopez asking, are you an illegal alien? I don't know who he's asking that to. No, I am not. Let's see. Nate Bennett asking, I have been hearing that we may get 426 naturally aspirated. My thoughts. Man, a lot of people have been talking about it. A lot of people have been asking that question. No, I don't see a 426 NA coming anytime soon, mainly because the 392 is as good as it is. And, you know, for everybody that was saying that, you know, okay, you're going to have this 426 and it's going to be a, you know, somewhere in like the 520 horse, 540 horse or whatever. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, man. I hope they can come up with that. But right now, look at some of the aftermarket stuff that you've seen 426s, you know, come from, or aftermarket companies where you've seen 426s come from, and see what those engines act like on a dyno. And then tell me what you think the horsepower really could be. They would have to completely redesign the intake manifold. Even if you left the camshaft out of the 392 in the car, you're going to have a hard time getting to a power level that's going to be anywhere near respectable if you can't get air in and out of that engine effectively. And in this case, it's getting air into the engine that's going to make all the difference in the world. So, you know, with a revised intake manifold, a slightly more aggressive camshaft, just more, think of it more like displacement appropriate than anything else. I mean, you could bump it up another 20 horsepower, 30 horsepower over the 392 with foot pound of torque probably going up around 30, 35. But man, it's just tough. It's tough to justify that small of a bump for that much R&D you'd have to put into the engine, I guess. Let's see. Nacho saying run it back turbo. No. Let's do a positive statement. Let's see. Sprint booster is amazing. I use it on 1500 for years. With Mopar parts, of course. Let's see. Uncle Stinkford Wet Bottom saying, I know you've said it 8 billion times, but which Nittos are you recommending for street again? Is it Tri-5R? Yes, absolutely. Tri-5R is a good catch-all tire, especially for a car that you're not driving a lot of miles. If you want a tire that's going to go a little bit longer than a Tri-5R, go with the normal Tri-5s at that point. But realistically, the Tri-5R, if you're just doing normal driving with it, it'll last a pretty decent amount of time, and you'll actually be able to hook up with that car as well. Tire pressure, I'd say stick around 30 PSI, and you'll get good wear out of them, and you'll get good traction long term as well. One and only SB340 says, no problem, B. Mason. Myself, Racer X Demonology, keep you guys learning things. 50-year-old guys like me with a garage and a race shop learning things as well still. You three are seriously the best on here. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate the kind words. And, you know, my thing is just to keep things positive, you know, keep that positivity flowing. You know, too many times, you know, a lot of guys get into the, I don't know, go to places that are just a little bit dark for my taste. I like to keep things a little bit more upbeat and have a little bit more fun. But thank you very much for the kind words. Mike Mike is L lolling something. Racer X hollering back out at one and only SB. Let's see. Mike saying when the time is older CUDA or a new Hellcat. Man, I tell you what, the older CUDAs are really hard to find right now in decent shape. Before I bought my Hellcat, I was actually looking for one. And I'll be honest with you guys, man, I didn't see one or find one that I would trust spending money on. It would take one that I'd almost have to just know the whole story on the car. But I was looking at CUDAs, looking at Poleras, looking at Belvederes, and of course looking for Road Runners. So, but yeah, right up until I bought my car, and then that one actually just fell out of the sky. But yeah, those are the cars I was looking at before I bought mine, and man, I could not find a decent one. I guess nobody was selling nice ones at the time because the stuff I saw was jacked up, man. Let's see. Jay saying, Uncle, yep, that's them. Yep, that's the ones I like. Let's see. One and only SB340. Hope next spring or summer you guys can come up to Chi-Town. So you and I can rent Great Lakes Dragway for a day or two. Man, I would love to go to Chicago. Last time I was in Chicago, I was actually picking up that car right there. I flew out to Chicago. The guy picked me up at the airport, and I drove that car from Chicago to Houston, Texas. Was showing a really good time up there. I mean, I really like Chicago. Actually, I'll be in Chicago next month, now that I'm thinking about it. Mike saying something about an 88 Stang. I like 88 Stangs. David Summerhill, old Bubba 392, 73-year-old, love my 392. Man, I love hearing that. Get out there and smoke those tires up. I love that. Yeah, I'll tell you what, 392, still, you cannot argue with a 392 from a balanced platform standpoint. They're just so much fun all the way around. One and only SB340, not only Mexican and Canadian, but the Charger, Challenger, and 1500 are in the top 15 most American-made cars parts-wise. I don't doubt that a bit. As a matter of fact, it's kind of cool that we've got almost all of our parts right here on our own continent. A lot of cars can't claim that, Ford. Patrick Stevens saying American muscle all the way. I like it. Let's see. Mustang, Camaro, and Vette are not. I'm guessing 100% American-made parts. I know they're assembled here, but I don't know where the parts are actually coming from, where they source those out to. Let's see. Got Mike and one and only chatting. I like that. I like seeing that. Let's see. Cleaver Enterprise asking, how do you compare the magnetic ride setup in Chevy Camaro versus the I guess say an SRT adjustable? Unfortunately went with Scat Pack because the sale price $39,999. Actually, that's a good deal. It's not too dissimilar from the magnetic ride setup that are in those cars. I wouldn't say that it's better, but it is fairly similar to that just in terms of how it reacts when you're switching around those modes. Again, and don't take this the wrong way. It's not well, let me stop there. You would sometimes hear some back and forth like SRT versus Scat Pack, the sibling rivalry thing going on. I never really got caught up in that because to me, it didn't make any sense. I mean, if you wanted the suspension that you wanted, then you could get the SRT. If you didn't, then if it didn't fit your needs, then you just got a Scat Pack. And then, with the only main difference between the SRT and any of the Scat Pack variants only being that suspension and the brakes. But even the brakes quit being a thing with the dynamic package. So, I don't know. Where do you stop? There's too much gray area now. But all of them are great. Let's see. Cranman asking, isn't Chevy closing their plants here and moving to China? Man, I would hate to hear that. That would be terrible. Let's see. Mike's hanging out with one and only. Let's see. Go, Gorgeous Sky 392. Oh, you're in Texas. My bad. Thought you were in Cali. Nope. Used to be, but back in Texas now. Toby Rama is saying, Brian, I know you're not a diesel guy, but what motor would you go with? Myself, I would stay away from the new motors and go with the motor from the pre-def era. Yeah, for sure. 12 valve all the way, man. 12 valve or a 7.3 for a diesel, because they will, as far as just being a torque generating appliance, and you're not trying to build a race truck or anything else like that, you want something that will drag whatever you got to wherever you need it to go. 7.3 and the 12 valve would be on the top of that list every single time. And I wouldn't, honestly, if I were buying a diesel, I wouldn't even look outside of those. Ghost 74 is saying, 13 grand on my Challenger SXT. I had the opportunity to put 2 grand down on a 392 TA. Will my new auto loan be horrible? I really want this car so bad. And the red and black is so sexy. I know that's right. Well, let's see. It depends on what kind of, so you owe 13 grand on the Challenger. It depends on what they give you if you can sell it outright or if you're going to do a trade-in setup. But if you've got 2 grand to put towards that 392 TA and it doesn't sting you too hard, man, I say go for it. The only problem will be, again, how far upside down are you on the car on the trade? Where does the 2 grand get you as far as the upside down or not upside down? And, you know, what kind of deal you're going to get on the 392. I would say, you know, if you can get that thing for about 3 to 4 grand off a sticker and you got a good, good trade-in value on the SXT, I think you'd have a lot of fun with that TA. I love those TAs. So, you know, and they're unique too. Not a lot of people went for them, and I didn't really understand why, because it's actually a really cool car. So it is absolutely an option. Let's see. Oh, it's SRT Crazy asking, so when Chrysler wasn't producing anything exciting during the dark ages, what Mopar did you have before you switched to Ford, and was it your first car? Actually, funny you should ask. So, not my car, but my grandfather's truck. He had like a 79 or an 80 Dodge pickup with a 6-cylinder, and that's the truck that I learned how to drive in, and we used to go to the oil field roads, and those are a bunch of gravel roads when I was a kid. I was 9, 10, 11 years old, and he was teaching me how to slide that thing around corners. He raced NASCAR before NASCAR was called NASCAR and believed that I needed to know how to control the skid, as he would put it. So, I was actually drifting a 6-cylinder Dodge truck when I was a preteen, or at least attempting to, and he was just, holding a beer in the passenger seat and laughing the entire time. Got a big kick out of me doing that. But my very first car was a Dodge 600 Turbo, which was a K car with a 2.2 liter with a turbocharger. And at the time, it was actually kind of a little badass car. And then I blew it up a couple of times. But, who needs wastegates, right? But anyway, from there, it was a Jeep Cherokee. So those were my two. My two first cars were basically Mopar or Mopar family. So, yep. Oh, Mike's talking about the exhaust brake. Yeah, it was kind of separated there. So I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, actually, I had a Isuzu cab over that had an exhaust brake on it. Pre-DEF truck. I should have never gotten rid of that. Let's see. Yeah, 2,500 is a ton heavier. Let's see. Joa? Marat? Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names. Let's see. I don't know what Fimos is, but it sounds kind of cool. Oh, Mike Benedito said only made that comment because someone said put the elephant in the 2,500. Let's see. Hey, Jay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much for the contribution. He's saying Hellcat air filter for 20 to 30 bucks is probably the wrong one since they're usually around 40 to 50 for OEM, right? Hashtag Project Revlon. Yes. Arm up. Where's my camera? There it is. Actually, I think you can get them on Amazon for pretty cheap. If you get them through the dealer, they're about $50, but I want to say on Amazon, they are, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say they're almost half of that price. I know that when I had done the review on it, in my review video, when I was doing all the different air filter testing with the 392, I want to say I was able to pick it up for, man, I want to say it was like $23. It was super cheap. All you needed was the part number. And if you found it, it's a mall part number and you can just have it sent over. So, and I remember when I was doing the research for that, I guess there was an internal press or internal memo saying, hey, we're the official filter for the Hellcat. And they were real excited about it. So, anyway, but that was just something that I noticed. And but no, yeah, the Hellcat air filter by far is the best filter for really any of these cars until you start getting into the big horsepower numbers. And let me put things into perspective for you. The Hellcats, well, for the 392, obviously, I mean, the thing flows over 1,000 CFM when it's clean, so you're never going to get into the limits of that filter. As a matter of fact, I did dyno testing on this, and the car, believe it or not, lost, well, I'm not going to say it lost power, but it made less power with no air filter versus the Hellcat air filter in the box. Now, I say I'm not going to say it lost power only because this is basically a dyno variance. It's what you would call it within the noise, so to speak. But it zero difference basically between no filter and the Hellcat filter. I've never done a Hellcat with no filter versus the Hellcat filter stock, but what I have done is I've seen cars with the Pikes Performance Bravo package with the stock air filter in the stock air box, and I've seen that combination make 800 horsepower to the rear wheels. Now, the question might be, well, would it have made more power with like a leg maker type of a setup or a B Woody type of a setup? It might have on the dyno, but I don't know that it would translate in the real world, because once you close the hood and you're capturing all that heat underneath the hood, I just don't know that it would make that big of a difference. I don't think it hurts you once the car is underway, but if you're sitting in the staging lanes, you're going to sit there and bake that thing. So at any rate, just so you know that part of it, but yeah, if you do, I want to say on Amazon, you could get that thing for basically half price. J.O. Pedro, man, I don't know what you're asking, brother. Let's see. Jefferson saying that my head looks like an egg. Well, thank you very much. It should. I'm bald. Let's see. JP pinned here is Donald. What? Oh, what the hell does that even mean? Let's see. Man, some of y'all are asking some weird fucking questions, man. Let's see. Mike saying Mopar is best for your truck. I agree. Akibona brake pads. This is Mike saying he uses Akibona brake pads for his 2500, almost zero dust. I've heard some good things about those Akibonas. Cranman saying, at Jason Willis, I feel you on that. I drove both the Scat Pack and the SRT NA version plenty before I made a decision. For me, it was the Scat Pack. Good luck on the B5 Challenger, though. Yeah, either way you go, you're going to be liking that one. So, absolutely. And Mike's saying those Akibonos lasted for 2 years. That's actually really good on a big truck like that. One and only SB340 saying, thanks, buddy. I'm 53 years old, and my life from 8 years old on with my grandfather. I watched him wrenching. Yep, my dad too. Built my first 440 at 14 years old and put it in a 70 RT SE Charger. I love that. Also have a 446 barrel Roadrunner. Man, that's breaking me right there, man. I love Roadrunners. Let's see. Canada guy saying, hey, Mason, how are you? Doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Quick question. Are the 6.1 stock headers the same as 6.4 in Hellcat? Yes, they are. And they flow very well too, by the way. Lots of very fast Hellcats running around on stock manifolds / headers. Let's see. J Palm is saying, I don't think so. They're actually very, very similar. Yeah, Mike's saying, yeah, hard to find a CUDA. Yeah, practically impossible. Uncle Stinkford saying, people keep asking about the 426 because that silly driveway demons guy keeps saying that Dodge does not make the 392 anymore. I don't know. That's a real easy one to verify. All you got to do is just go, I don't know, to your dealership and see if you can order one. I'm sure you can. Justin Baker, what's up, B. Mason? How you been, sir? Doing well, Justin. Thank you. Hope things are going well for you. Light and Blue Meanie saying, what's up, Mason? Hope all is well, my dude. I hope everything's going well with you. Mike Benedito checking with the law. Midwest Mopar saying, how's it going? Going west, Midwest. Hope things are going well for you as well. Let's see. Canada guy is saying, call me a ricer, but thinking of getting an RT and adding flares and demon rims. It might not look that bad if it's done right. Lightning Blue Meanie saying, what's up, B. Mason? Thoughts on the California exhaust laws? I think they're bullshit. Canada guys, such as 2010 Plum. I think he's trying to say Plum Crazy, Plum Class. What was that? Something got a little bit fat fingered there, it looks like. Tried to type too fast. Yeah, I was talking about that California law, the exhaust laws. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, man. I cannot believe somebody would actually rattle that into existence. I mean, who hatched that plan? And it's such a subjective thing, realistically, that I don't know. Again, I just think it's going to be one of those laws that some guys may throw on you if you're giving them any static. Let's see. Cleaver Enterprise asking, stock setup or throw adjustable shocks and coilovers on it? Is it worth it? Well, if you've got a scat pack and you want to have more adjustability and lose a little bit, I think probably lose a little bit of weight in the process, go with coilovers. It's a little pricey, but your ability to really dial that car in goes through the roof once you go coilovers. 303 Street Machine saying, if you were talking big rigs, Caterpillar for sure. I mean, you always go Cat for the big ride. Let's see. Cranman's checking out saying, good night, B. Always look forward to your live feed. See you on the next one. Woo, thank you very much for checking in. Always good to have you in. Let's see. Mike's talking about some oil changes. I can imagine doing oil changes on diesels, though. My goodness. Leonard Rice saying, positivity, thanks. Woo, it's what we go for around here, man. Bring a little fun. Bring a little light to you. Gorgeous Scat 392 is laughing about an egg. I'm dying. Yeah. Like a kind of a tan egg. It's a good looking dome on that, actually. Nice and streamlined too, man. Terminal velocity is higher than yours. Let's see. Yeah. One and only SB340 saying, having a strange night with some people. Yeah, you get that every once in a while. The Sloan saying, good night, brother. Have fun tomorrow. Thank you for checking in. Appreciate you. Mike Benedito saying, love the smell of spent gas. Absolutely. Oh, one and only SB saying Charger is Hemi Orange. 1022 car. Love that, man. Love the old school iron. Could never find one. Or, I don't know. It got sold out from underneath me. Jeffrey Bender, the Enforcer, saying, I think the Driveway Demons guy is smoking something funny. Certainly not the good stuff. Let's see. Patrick Stevens saying, mystery comment on the Marvel Mystery Oil. I didn't see one on the Marvel Mystery Oil, but some people swear by it. And for older engines, I wouldn't necessarily say that it would be a good idea for any of the newer engines, but for some of the older engines with looser tolerances, you can actually get away with that stuff, and it actually will work. Let's see. Lightning Blue Meanie is asking, what's up, man? What's up? So you got 10 grand to buy a car from the 80s and modify suspension, tires, brakes to make it a street car. What do you buy? Well, the quick and painless choice would be a Mustang. But the problem is that the Mustangs are getting kind of pricey. So then you go the G body route. You could go with like an older Malibu would be a lot of fun. If you want to stick hardcore Mopar, get you an Aspen and drop in just a pissed off 340 or 360 in that thing. That'd be a lot of fun. Let's see what else. You want to do something a little bit different? You could go the Fairmont route. It's still a Fox body, so everything still bolts up. And that'd be a fun project too. It just depends on what your power goal is and where you want to take that particular car. But those would be some of my directions that I would look in. And then of course pickup truck, because I like trucks. Justin Baker's asking, what is a good brake upgrade for my 16 Ram? I wouldn't mind going with a 15-inch brake conversion to run 15-inch wheels. I think Willwood has a setup for that. Ernesto has that. The Ernesto Garcia, the guy that won the free tune giveaway last year, he has, I forget what brakes are on his truck, but I'll find out. That truck's brakes are awesome, by the way. I know he's got slotted rotors, but I can't remember the pads with stock calipers in the front. And as far as going with a 15-inch conversion, I want to say Willwood's got one, but don't quote me on that. I thought they do. Let's see. NHRA guy 532. You never talk too much detail on trans tunes. Are you changing line pressure, shift point, torque management? Yes, and yes. Now, some things, let's talk about that for a minute. So line pressure, yeah, but I don't go too crazy with it. I'll typically bump it up about 10 to 12%. There's also some shift scheduling that you can change a little bit as well, but I'll typically just for most of them, change the line pressure and the actual shift points. The shift points are best tuned on the street. And for 392 cars, I like to see them shift no higher than 6,300. And for the 5.7 cars, I like to see them shift at around 6,000, 6,100 if they're stock with a stock cam. And that is based on the actual output shaft RPM. So you got to do a bunch of math to get to that. But and then torque management, yes, but do not kill torque management all the way. You can harm the transmission. You at the very bare minimum need to leave external torque management in play. And I would actually suggest keeping the torque management in play, because on the drag strip, I haven't seen any difference from killing torque management. Well, let me rephrase that. If we're talking a bone stock transmission tunes parameters for torque management being in play versus taking every bit of torque management out, there is a slight gain in, you'll pick up just a little bit in the quarter mile. But that being said, you run a greater risk of damaging the transmission. So you can get away with it for a long, long time. And you can also have the transmission start to slip almost immediately. I've seen it go both ways. So I would say, leave external torque management in play, kill the rest of them at your own risk, and get those shift points where they need to be, but don't go crazy with your line pressures. One and only SB340 saying Roadrunner is a B7 blue. God, that's a darker blue, I believe. 901 car. Yep. Years and years adding tints to it. Had them both since 16. Not talking cash put into it. The Roadrunner or the Charger, they both ran their fastest times in November. Actually, those, I wish we had better weather here in November. We had kind of crappy weather here through the whole month of November. But yeah, I love those cars, man. That is such a pretty car, I bet. Uncle Steepford is saying, California, the only state that thinks it's above the law when it comes to making laws. Well, you better believe it. Canada guy saying, was taking a look at a wreck 09 SRT Hemi Orange, but was written off with plenty of good front end damage. That's too bad. Some of those you can find in fairly decent in fairly decent condition. Takes a little bit of work, but it'll be a salvage title, but it's still fairly decent. Mike's checking in. Yeah, 360. 360 is a good engine. I like those things. Go 74 saying, hey, B Mason, no hair means weight reduction. Hey, it also means I'm more streamlined too. Let's see. SRT Crazy saying the clown party hatched the Cali pipe laws. Man, that is so true. Canada guy looks like he's checking out. He's saying, all right, getting late here. Have a good night, my man. You do the same. Thank you so much for checking in. Hope to see you on the next one. One and only SB340 saying, love to let you guys run them down the track and bring your bad cars with my mechanics, 2 Hellcats. One Demon and Red Eye will be here. I love it. Mechanics drive Mopar or get canned. I love it. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. No, there is nothing more that I love than running down the drag strip, and I'm so excited about tomorrow morning, which brings me to, I'm going to have to start checking out here pretty soon, fellas. I've got to be up with the Amish in the morning, getting everything ready to go, and then we'll be coming to you with some live shots here and there from the track tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Let's see. So I'm going to burn through some of these. Hector's checking in, barely breaking in my 7.3 liter Power Stroke. 334, 704 only did bottom end to raise oil pressure. I love that, man. And I guarantee you just keep maintaining it and it will be going like that for a long time. Preston's asking, what do you think is the best summer tire for street and the drag strip? Nitto Tri 5 Rs. Mike's Lawlin, I like that. Justin Baker ordered that Precision 7675. Because he's maxing out his current turbo, really wanting that 800 mark, stock bottom end, and 1,000 horsepower mark with pistons and rods. Yeah, on E85, you will probably get real close to that, even on a Mustang dyno. One and only saying, yep, that B7 is the darker blue. It's such a pretty color. HRA guy saying, thanks, good luck tomorrow. Thank you very much. Appreciate you checking in. 303 Street Machine saying a 92 Eagle Talon TSI and a 4G63 5-speed. Thoughts on the DSM cars? Freaking love them. And I really wish we had more cars like that today. The funny thing about the DSM, I could do a live show just on the DSM cars. So Eagle Talon, the Conquest, there were a few that were floating around in there. Those cars, they were just such a cool departure from muscle cars. They didn't really ever find a home for some people, and the critics kind of panned them a little bit because they didn't have a V8. But man, if you're in the know and you know about the Talon and you know about the Conquest, and really sort of by association the Daytonas, I for some reason those and the GLHs, I just love those cars. So anyway, not to get too far out of whack here, but yeah, I like those cars. Oh, here we go. Himmy Head saying was able to get to the strip with his stock tune 18 Challenger Scat with Hellcat airbox and filter, 85 millimeter throttle body, and NT 555Rs. 305s on the 10.5s. Best was an 11.9 at 113.6 with a 1960 foot. On a 20-foot DA. What was, a 1.9. Oh, we got to do better with that 60-foot, brother. Damn, was it a no prep night? That car with that setup should be a mid-11 second car. Let's see. Let me look at something. Depending on the tune, don't know who tuned it. But that being said, yeah, that 60-foot, you get that 60-foot down in the 1.7s, and that's a mid-11 second car. You're just having a hard time getting out of the hole, which reflects in your mile an hour and in your ET. SRT Crazies at one and only SB340, man. They're chatting about SB's rides, man. They are sweet. Go 74 is checking out. Good night, B Mason. Good night to you too. Got to get up early in the morning. Have fun tomorrow. Thank you much. So guys, let's see. And 303, I will bring up those that DSM. Let's see. We got Go 74 checking out. Mike's checking out. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you checking in with me. Uncle Stinkford saying, see you, man. Thank you, sir. And already, let's see. Yeah, 303. Yeah, I love talking DSMs. Jeffrey Bender's saying, man, this winter is driving me nuts. I can't wait till spring to get back on track. I'm right there with you. That being said, thank God for guys like me keeping him sane, talking about his favorite stuff. Thanks a lot, Brian. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for checking in. I appreciate you. But guys, I have got to get rolling. Let's see. One only SB340. Have a great time tomorrow, guys. Thank you. Shred that strip. Look forward to it. Let's see a 10-6. I am hoping for it, my friend. I am really hoping for it. Jay Pum is saying, oh shit, tomorrow's the scheduled track day. We'll have fun and post updates. I will absolutely do that. Yes, sir, for sure. Stay safe, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And let's see, guys. I got to check out Cleveland Enterprises. Let's see, Phoenix 98. Good luck tomorrow. Peace out. Thank you very much. Clever saying, baby needs a bottle. She's been watching the whole time. Happy racing, Mara. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I love that. Taking care of the little one. I dig that. SRT. TIE Fighter asking, what cam would you suggest for a 14 SRT8 300? Already have long tubes, catless mid, straight pipe, cold air, and a 180 T-stat. Custom grind would always be the way to go. SRT8 on a 14. Let's see. Yeah, nothing too crazy because you want to keep that thing where it's got some torque down low. I would say something that would have, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of, something like the either give Pipes Performance a shout. It's PEITZ. Have them put together a custom grind camshaft, which would actually be me doing that custom grind, or the NSR cam from MMX is actually a good cam too. SRT Craze, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much, or thank all of y'all for thanking each other. I know y'all are chatting between y'all selves. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit loopy. I'm working on not very much sleep. I got back in town Friday night after not getting any sleep Saturday night from being at market in Dallas. So I am a little bit weird here. Let's see. Himmy Head saying, yeah, I'm not a great drag driver. I need to learn how to launch better. Thanks and have a great night. Man, it just takes practice. Get out there and have fun with your car. Guys, the way that I learned as a kid was, it was fun. I mean, I was just kind of turned loose with a car or a motorcycle and was just allowed to have fun. And if you allow yourself to have fun with your car, just remember it's there to put a smile on your face. Get out there, have fun with it, and you will be a pro in no time. 303 Street Machines checking out, saying later. Woo, yeah, thumbs up. I appreciate it. Green Baby Wagon saying, just saying hello again. Sounds like stream's over. Yep, we are checking out. Let's see. Gorgeous Scat 392 just doing homework and listening. Yeah, I'll be doing homework tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. Y'all have a good one. And guys, be on the lookout. I'll be doing some probably short live videos tomorrow. I'll try to get some other videos as well to get for you guys. And let's see how Revlon does on our first track rental. I am looking so forward to it. Y'all have a great one. That's a wrap on this one.